Thanks again for joining us this week. My name is Jade Turan, and I am the marketing chair for the NAIOP Utah board here in Salt Lake City. And my day job, I work for FFKR Architects, an architecture firm also here in Salt Lake City. And we are so lucky to have Mike Anderson from Zions Bank with Exchange Services here with us to share some very important information for this unprecedented time we're going through right now. So Mike, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. This will be fun.
Yeah, I think so. So let's get right down to it. I hear there was an important announcement from the IRS about 1031 exchanges. What happened? Give us all the details.
Well, of course, 1031 exchanges are a way to help investors defer capital gains tax when they change property investments. That can be 10 to 20% of the value of a property. So to get these tax benefits, you have to follow some rules, which involve some deadlines to advance your exchange. An exchange involves selling property and then buying property. And so after you sell property, you have to identify the property you want to buy within 45 days, and you have to acquire the property within 180 days after you sell property. And these deadlines were part of the announcement.
So why is this? Why have they changed the deadlines? I mean, do stay-at-home orders and social distancing practices affect sales of property?
Well, sure. There's in the past, the IRS has promulgated a process to adapt to natural disasters. Hurricane Katrina was one of the first, and in Louisiana, and the Paradise Fires recently in California. These are all disasters that got some tax benefits. What happened is the IRS would say the disaster happened on this date, and so everybody that's affected by these disasters in this area and these counties got 120 more days to add it to the 45 days or the 180 days, depending upon how that fits. And then that's great. But in this situation, of course, the disaster is a national disaster. And we don't know exactly when it started. But at the same time, people were getting nervous, lenders getting skittish. I had one customer say that they called a brokerage in California to go inspect their property, and they said, come back in 2 months. We can't do that now. And of course, that would have bumped them past the deadlines, and they're getting nervous about, do I keep my deal open? Do I collapse it and go home and take my money, but I have to pay tax? People getting nervous, not to mention the other stuff going on with the pandemic and illnesses and disease and so forth. So it was really kind of a tense time.
So for those of us that aren't familiar, you mentioned Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana. This pandemic is a national disaster, very much global. Why is it important to establish a process start date? Well,
the tricky part is that we have our Treasury Department, which is where the IRS is situated in the government, is busy doing these big, never before seen rescue packages for the whole economy. And so we're saying, well, how about our little 1031 exchange thing over here? And they're kind of saying, well, I'm staying up all night trying to save the country. And so what would be nice is we try to do is say to them, a bunch of us in this business, including NAIOP nationally and our trade association, the Federation of Exchange Accommodators, got together with a coalition of other folks and said to the IRS, we need to do something. We have this process, do something to help keep this economy going, because if all these deals fall through, it'll hurt the economy, and the stimulating effect of investment will wear out and go away, and it could be a very disastrous thing for the economy as a whole. And so the IRS responded. But it was kind of not exactly how we would like. Of course, this is not a local disaster, it's a national disaster. The deadlines start with a date, but what date is that? We don't know. So the IRS basically came out and said, we're going to give, if you have a deadline that occurred after April 1st, then you get a deadline bumped out to July 15th, which is really great. You know, we had one of my customers called me up and said, "Woo!" And it was really exciting to have these people who were nervous about their livelihoods and their investments and their retirement programs getting some life. And so they could work harder and redo and do some more analysis and do some due diligence and maybe keep things alive. And it also added a lot of optimism in the market where people were nervous about things. They could relax, move ahead with confidence. And it's a great thing.
I think optimism is a great thing, especially during this time. So while it wasn't what we thought it would be, the IRS came out with something, and that's something a lot of people can be happy about, that they recognize this very difficult and unusual time. So, you know, with the IRS, in your professional opinion, did this announcement or agreement or compromise, does it work, or is it working?
Well, it's working, and we're happy about that. And we're very grateful to the IRS and the Treasury Department. It's a funny thing to say, isn't it, to be grateful to the IRS, but we are grateful to the IRS for giving this extra breathing room. But the nature of the people in our business, tax people, I don't see myself as a tax person, but I spend my time with them, and they're very detail oriented, very word and specific, and what does this mean? How about that? And there's some difficulties because if you have a 45-day deadline extended, you'd like to have your replacement property acquisition deadline extended, and this doesn't necessarily do that. And there's some questions about that. And so, again, this coalition's gone back to the Treasury Department and tried to get some clarifications. They said they would give some. We're still waiting for that. Maybe we'll get some more help later on, but we're just grateful for what we have, and hopefully we'll get some more, and we'll have to figure out what to do. And there's some of this, there'll be a little bit of gray area we'll have to work out with our customers and the IRS. But we as James Bond said, we will die another day. We'll get to do something. We'll get to move ahead.
Move ahead. Well, and I'm sure there's a lot of gray area, and a lot of people are just, including the government, you know, wait and see, you know, let's take it one day at a time. And we just don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully we'll flatten that curve, and they'll be very understanding like they have been in pushing those deadlines. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Mike?
Well, we appreciate the chance to be part of NAIOP. It's a great association, and a lot of great professionals who help each other out, and we appreciate being part of it. We appreciate our customers who feel better about life now. They have a little more time to work through their transactions, and glad to have a chance to help out with people. This is a fun business I'm in because people come to us and we help them save a lot of money, and we're happy to, if we do a good job, they're happy about it. So it's a fun time. It's a fun place to be.
Yeah, well, if you're saving people a lot of money, they're always happy to see you.
Well, we try. Yes, we do.
How can people get a hold of you, Mike? They have more questions.
You can call us at 801-596-1031. That's our phone number. You can email me at michael.anderson, michael.anderson, at zionsbank, zionsbank.com. We have some great staff, Laura McKee, Kelly Pearl, Frankie Bethay, John Vanderbeek, Cynthia Gibson. They're great folks. And Gleason, very excited to be part of this group.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Mike. Well, that wraps up another episode of our weekly NAIOP videos. We hope you found this very, very helpful. If you would like to suggest a topic, feel free to email Lindsay at naiyop@naiyoputah.org. And until then, we will see you all next time. Thank you so much.